Hello guys, so I wanted to do this little video on what I believe is another one of the factors that can keep us stuck in the dark night of the soul for longer than we really need to be. And it all kind of really echoes the same thing as what happens to us when we go through the conditioning when we're at school. We can almost, as though whilst we're in dark night of the soul, we can almost at the same time be reconditioning ourselves with certain ways of behaving and certain beliefs that come into us. Instead of perhaps getting a more rounded view of everything that's going on, we can, in our desperation in Dark Night of the Soul, we can attach to things that we think is how we should now act as a spiritual person, or as someone that's becoming spiritual, or as someone that's starting to believe in spirituality. Not that there's anything to believe in. We are spiritual beings, so there is no need to believe. It's just how it is. But anyway, I think let me try and explain. Let me try and give some kind of analogy, because then it might come clear what I'm saying. So where I think we can recondition ourselves is because when we had our ego, so when we was in the matrix, if you like, and someone was to talk spirituality to us, we probably turned a blind eye or just moved on or thought they were woo-woo. So now we're in Dark Night of the Soul and we're being separated. I think there's still a tendency in some of us that we're almost a bit embarrassed that we now actually know that we're spiritual beings, or we're becoming spiritual, and we like to spend time on our own and stuff like that. I think we're a bit embarrassed of it. But another thing that I think is quite paramount and really detrimental to our growth is some of these other spiritual leaders that we might try to be seeking out when we're in Dark Night of the Soul. And what I mean by that is, now I'm not talking about necessarily the big gurus, the world famous ones like the Eckhart Tolles and the Krishnamurtis and stuff like that. I think they're wonderful, and I think they're very, very real and genuine people. A couple of you actually said you thought Eckhart Tolle was a bit wordy and stuff like that. I totally agree with that. He can be, but he's definitely real. Is I think the point that I'm trying to make there. Krishnamurti, definitely real, and there's lots of others, but I don't want to mention them. I'm talking more the people that kind of over emphasize their spirituality on videos or on Instagram, and they leave the memes up, and they kind of have this presence about them of they kind of talk like this, very calming and very soothing. It's like I hope you're not laughing at me now, but it's like they've developed an act themselves, and now they're acting spiritual rather than being spiritual. But I think for some of us, whilst we're in that confusion of Dark Night of the Soul, we can look at that act and think that's how we should be. Now be aware, we can go unconscious whilst we're in Dark Night of the Soul. So we're becoming conscious, but that doesn't mean we're not susceptible to going unconscious whilst we're in there. And our ego, our old ego, will still kick in disguise and say to us, hey, you got to be like that if you're spiritual. It won't actually happen like that, but I think you get the feeling that I'm saying. There would be a feeling inside of you of maybe disappointment that you're not like that, and it can leave you feeling like, oh, I'm never going to work this Dark Night of the Soul. I'm just not that guy. I'm just not that girl. I don't sit with my legs crossed and my palms facing upwards and I don't do that. I'm not full of all these wonderful wise words that they seem to be able to say. And let me just tell you this little bit, because I'm really hoping this might help some of you to just become unstuck and trust your own guts feelings and your own instincts a little bit more than what you've been led to believe. Don't forget, conditioning drummed everything out of you. So you're now re-establishing how you're going to be getting other feelings up of gut instincts. Our more natural self is starting to rise. So as that starts to rise, it's, oh, what's this feeling? What's this feeling? That's why I'm always advocating be on your own, be in nature. But as those feelings come up, they need analysing, and they're not always bad feelings, they're good feelings. So you need to know how to trust your gut instincts. But what can happen with that is we can find that with those spiritual type people that are overacting, when we're in dark night of the soul, we're so desperate to find something to cling to that gives us some kind of hope, or gives us an ending sentence that will end it all for us, that we can become so despondent with ourselves that we're not like those people. And let me just tell you this, which is what I said before, but I didn't actually tell you this. There is no way of being, guys. I'm as spiritual as I could ever possibly think that I am. And there's no, I fundamentally as a person have not changed from the person that I ever was. What's happened to me is there was already a lot of beliefs inside me and a lot of knowledge that was inside me, but that knowledge and those beliefs had all been crushed by the system, by generational beliefs, etc. Had all been crushed. What happens is all the layers come off, so all your beliefs start opening up. There you are, and up comes all this knowledge that you had. Up comes all these beliefs that you had. But now, because you're not attached to the ego and you don't care so much about what people think of you, because you see the ridiculousness for what the whole system is, you now start believing in your knowledge. You now start believing in your beliefs. And that is what kind of really started to happen to me. But so you might start to think to yourself, well, I'm not like that. I'm not like those people on YouTube and this, that and the other that have all these great words and they know how to meditate properly and do all these things. Those people that are on YouTube like that are quite dangerous, because in my opinion, they're reading books and they're very good at acting spiritual. They're very good at doing the act. And there's very few that seem to me when I watch them that are actually, I feel like they're doing it because they want to give something back. Which ultimately, a lot of guys watching this now who have become very spiritual and are probably in the same place as me or have moved on from that or in different places, they will know exactly what I'm talking about. Your whole perspective and outlook on life changes once you embrace spirituality and once you stop being ashamed that perhaps you are a spiritual person and you want to go and hug a tree. That's fine. I hug trees all the day. But you might be embarrassed of that, but those guys who have settled into that and are very spiritual, they'll know what I'm talking about when I say things like, you just start to embrace life. You want to give back. The bigger picture is about it. It's about that out there. It's about our evolvement as a species. I think I said in my other video, my why is now so big that I can't possibly stop doing these videos, even if I feel like at times I'm repeating myself. I can't stop because I feel like there's a lot to give back to people. I feel like people struggling in dark night of the soul, or people that are just down and depressed, or people that are stuck in the matrix and feeling like there's something going on, that when they go to YouTube because they want to find answers, they might pick up this video, and some of them, like some of you wonderful lot, have picked up on my message and you love it and it's helping you. And that, for me, is, as on a personal note now, for me, I can't tell you how that makes me feel, that I've faced that fear of doing these videos, started doing them, and it's actually helping people. And that's what I mean by, you'll get to know the ones that are genuinely giving something back. And I'm just there, just because you might have forgotten what I was talking about, is that you might be trying to copy some of these spiritual people and think you're not like that spiritual person. What I'm actually trying to say, but I've gone all around the houses with it, is there is no blueprint to being spiritual. All of us are spiritual beings. How that shows up for us in our different ways of life is different for all of us. I happen to find my calling, which is these videos. And if I'm honest, exposing myself in this way and using my vocabulary, which is something I've always told myself to shut up with, because we all by now, I'm the thick child, so I should never be speaking. Isn't it strange how I've found the thing that I feel like I'm giving most back on, and the thing that's fulfilling my life personally the most, and hopefully helping others, is in the one thing I was terrified of my entire life, which was speaking up and failing and getting it wrong. but I found it in the place where I was scared. And that's what I'm trying to get across to you lot is trust your feelings, because your feelings whilst you're in the dark night of the soul, those gut feelings that you have, the fear that might be coming up, the nerves in your belly, that might be right where you need to go. So for example, if you're someone who likes art and you're very good at art and you want to express your art out there, but you're a bit embarrassed because you feel like your art isn't as good as other people's, or you feel like if you start putting your art up there, what if no one turns up? What if people actually see you as the failing artist that you think you are? Well, what does happen? Nothing. Nothing happens if you put your art out there and no one comes to view it. Would any of you guys think that I'm not a nice guy because no one watched this video? So nothing actually happens. But yet, when I face that fear, look what's happened to my little community now. Our community, I should say. Sorry, that sounded really self-indulgent. You guys have actually created this. And you guys, by the way, I love you so much, like genuinely. You are making me, you are literally making someone on the video become their best version. That's incredible. That's what we can all do when we face our fears and go into them. And I've digressed off it because I can't help it. But if you're that artist and you put your art out there, if you're coming from a place of wholesomeness, if you're coming from your true you, if you're doing art that reflects you and how you are and how you see life, it will only succeed. But if you're trying to do art that you think is going to please other people, and this is where you have to be careful of the unconscious conditioning that's gone on in us, because you might not think that you're doing that. But if you, this is why we need to be on our own and spend time in nature, because these things come up and suddenly you go, oh yeah, I'm doing stuff in order to not foul in their eyes. No, don't do that. Put art out there that when you look at it, you think, that's gorgeous, or that's brilliant, that's wonderful. Do that art. Because if 9 out of 10 people don't like that, but one person walks in and gets the same feeling off of that you got, that's the best bit of art you've ever produced. Because the other lot don't need to be there. They don't need to be there because they're not after they don't like your authentic art, or they're not interested in your authentic art, I should say. So they don't need to be in your life. The one person who walks in and sees the piece of art that you've put out that has come truly from your true essence, truly from your heart, they've seen that, that's the person that you want. That's the person that you would find beautiful in your life. That's the person who would look at you and find you beautiful and think what you're doing is great. And this is I've digressed slightly, but it is kind of on topic with the spiritual people that lead us. We need to stop trying to think that there's a blueprint. We need to stop trying to feel like we have to be a certain way in order to be spiritual. There is no blueprint. Sometimes I swear, guys, oh my God, you know, it's okay to do that. Being spiritual does not mean we always float away in the clouds and we're all happy and all wonderful. No, it can be shit sometimes. It really can be. And sometimes it can be frustrating, because I think I said in one of my other videos that sometimes when I'm angry, I feel the spiritual side come in and it almost says to me, now, Tobias, come on, you're being very silly. And I'm like, piss off. I want to be angry for a minute, but then I can't be. It kind of comes round and it calms me down, which is a lovely way to be. But that's the whole point of this video, is to just reassure some of you that when you see these people floating past and they're sitting in circles and they're meditating and this, that and the other, that's awesome. So that's not a knock on those people that do that, as long as it comes from a wholesome place. And like I say, when you learn to trust your gut feelings and your gut instincts, you will feel that from people over the camera. You'll feel the ones that you just know that they want to help. Even if they're not helping you personally, you'll just know that they want to help somebody somewhere, and they're doing it their way and no one else's way. Oh, sorry, I'm back. My phone actually ran out of recording data. So, But I was saying that you will get to notice those people who are trying to help people out there. Whether or not they help you personally is kind of irrelevant. You will still pick up the feelings that they're trying to help people out there. And you'll also pick up those feelings and that sixth sense that you have, which will slowly start to evolve out of you as you go through the dark night of the soul and you allow yourself to start. You're not attaching to the thoughts, you're not attaching to the darkness, if you like, and running away from it. You're kind of just being with it, allowing it to be there. Those dark feelings are often your true essence pushing itself to the surface. But what we've done most of our lives is when those things come to the surface, we keep burying it. And it stays buried for as long as it is that we're doing the distraction. When we stop the distraction, guess what happens? Bam, it comes back up. That will go on forever unless we actually just start to allow those feelings and your sixth sense, your innate intuition could be coming up and making you feel nervous, could be making you feel excited, could be making you feel angry. You won't know what that is unless you stay there with it. But what I was saying was when those feelings come up, you will start to also pick up on those spiritual type people that are not being real. They're doing it for money. They're selling ebooks. There's nothing wrong with selling ebooks and this, that, and the other. What I'm talking about are the ones that are fake, that have kind of come from nowhere. And we feel like we need to be like them in order to be spiritual. No, we don't. There's no set way of being spiritual. It's whatever suits you and however it works for you. As long as you're being true and you're being real and you're aware of your ego, when your ego kicks in, then you can say you're spiritual. And there is no... and sorry, that actually made me sound a little bit arrogant there. I didn't mean that as in I'm telling you how spirituality is and how it will work for you. What I mean is by that, it's whatever spirituality does for you. That's when you know that you're spiritual. It's when you're there. It's more a way of being, but it's not something you have to go and be like. It's just a way of being that suits you, and you will notice when you're being spiritual because weird things start happening. People start to resonate towards you. Your life starts to evolve in the most beautiful way. But it evolves in ways where you're giving something back, and you actually genuinely start to know what it means to give something back to people. And in the roundabout way from that, you get more satisfaction from that personally for yourself than you could ever imagine in anything material or financial. It's just a wonderful place to be at. It's a really wonderful place to be at. And you'll feel that from the guys who maybe you're trying to emulate. You'll feel the ones that are real. You'll feel the ones that are fake. You know, and I just think that for some of you who are really stuck there, I'm hoping that was helpful. I'm hoping that was a bit inspiring for you as well, that you can let go of certain things. A lot of these videos that I do is that I kind of like, hopefully that I can give you my experiences of what I found and what I thought while I was in there, and while I was in the dark place, if you like. I try and give that to you so that hopefully it can move you forward slightly. But at the same time, I like to try and uncover things from you so that you can see it, because I feel like some of you going by the emails are kind of really stuck. And it's like, you need to pull the trigger, but you don't know how to. So with these videos, a lot of the time, I go right into the nitty gritty because I'm trying to find that trigger point, and I'm trying to pull the trigger for you that makes you go, ah, and you move forward just to maybe a little bit. Or you become aware of how you've been behaving and why it's keeping you stuck back. Because don't forget, guys, while at any point in life for any human being, when we're in an emotional place, that is the time when we are actually most vulnerable. That's the time when we are actually most easily influenced as well. And that might be why some of us are stuck, and we think that we need to be like someone else who we think is spiritual before we become spiritual. And I just hope that video opens up a little bit more for all of you. And I think I'm going to close it there, guys. But thank you so much. Thank you for all the wonderful comments that you always leave me. I sometimes don't know what to do with them when I read them. I have to look away, and then I come back and read it. There's always a bit of part of me that really enjoys it, though. No, let me say that again. I enjoy all of them, but there's that part of you that probably enjoys it a little bit too much. But I love every one of you. All your encouragement, all your support is always brilliant. I hope you enjoyed that. Any topic ideas, guys, anything like that, let us know. I was going to go outside today, and I did actually go for a walk up the river and whatever else, and I recorded a 20-minute video of this, but I didn't quite like it, and plus you could hear the wind going, so I thought I'd come back to my caravan and record again. But it's a beautiful, clear day out there. It's very hot, a little bit windy, beautiful blue sky though, and that's awesome. Anyway, guys, genuinely, thank you so much for taking part in all of this. You really are literally making someone that you don't even know turn into their best version, and hopefully a lot of you guys are feeling that as well. So thank you very much. Peace.